What's up, everybody? I don't know what I just did. It's me, Vids, and I'm here to tell you all a story. Why? Because I'm bored and I have nothing else to really do with my life. So, it's story time. I'm going to be telling you the story about how I massacred an entire family with one jellyfish. This is actually a true story, and no one died in the story despite the title. Ignore that. But I'm going to begin now. It was actually back when I was pretty little, probably 6, 7 at max, which means I was a wee tiny little baby that was still incredibly stupid. I take that back. I'm still incredibly stupid, but more stupid. But I was small, and I went to Port Aransas, and I didn't go to the beach very much. And if you don't know where Port Aransas is, it's in Texas. I don't know where the people watching this are, but I'm in Texas. But Port Aransas, it's a beach down in Texas, great place. And for me, as a little kid, barely ever going to the beach, I went there and I was just like, beach! Even though the beach is down on the ground. I'm going to take my hoodie off because it's hot in here. But I was wee tiny child, so I was having a lot of fun there. But it was, I guess, jellyfish season? Did jellyfish have a season? I don't know, probably. But there were a ton of jellyfish, so I really couldn't go swimming. But I did catch a jellyfish. So I was walking around with my trusty plastic sand strainer and a bucket. My sister was in the background just making sand castles because she didn't want to get in the water either. But I caught a jellyfish, just tiny little jellyfish with stingers about that long. So it wasn't very dangerous. And I was so proud of my jellyfish. I was running around with it on my little strainer, and I'm like, look at my jellyfish! And people were just like, okay, and backing away because they probably thought I was going to, massacre them. Wink. Okay, but I was walking along, and this mom was just like, look, Timmy! And she was talking to her younger child. I don't know how old he was, and I don't know his name. I don't remember it. So we're going to pretend he's Timmy, because Timmy is a generic name. And she was just like, look, Timmy, a jellyfish. That little boy caught a jellyfish. And I was like, someone who appreciates my jellyfishness. And I showed them, and I'm like, look at my jellyfish. And so this little boy, I remember him, he was having a blast just looking at my jellyfish. He saw it, and he was just like, a jellyfish! And he was like jumping up and down screaming. He was very happy. And it was a family of 3. They probably had a dad somewhere, but it was a mom holding a younger child and the little boy. So I showed the little boy, and he was just, I showed the mom, and she's like, yeah, that's adorable. It's a jellyfish. And then this is where it gets interesting. I showed the younger girl, and by that I was incredibly short, so I had to stick it up and raise it like I was praising the gods. And so her reaction was this. Mine. She didn't actually say mine, but she picked it up, holding this jellyfish in her hand, a vice grip, just holding it. And then she stared at it for roughly a second before she screams and throws it up in the air dramatically. And I, as a small child, jumped back, and I watched as my jellyfish just flew through the air and came landing on the mom's foot. Now, she is holding her daughter and was watching the jellyfish with me. It was like a beautiful arc of death. Yeah. And it landed on her foot, and she screamed and kicked. Now, guess where this jellyfish goes? It flies up through the air again and lands on the boy's face. Right here. Just smack dab, suction cupping English to his face. And it was just stuck there and was just slowly sliding down. And he was screaming and just yelling and crying, and eventually he slaps it off like that, he slapped himself in the face, and it went flying off back onto the mom's thigh. You can't see my thigh, but I'm gesturing to my beautiful rock hard thunder thighs. Ignore I ever said that ever, please. But yeah, it landed on her thigh, and she screamed and swatted it down, and it went flying off into the sand. Now, me as a small child, I ran and I scooped back up my jellyfish, and I was looking at it, and I looked back at this family like, and they're all screaming, like wiping blood off their faces, and like the little girl's crying, the mom's holding her leg and like trying to comfort both of her small children. The little boy's like standing there in shock as his face just slowly gets bigger around the area where the thing was, his hand slightly bleeding where he slapped himself, and they were all crying. And I was just looking back like, back and forth between my jellyfish, and I was just like, what have you done? And I flung it off into the water, and I never saw that jellyfish again. To this day, I am actually afraid of jellyfish, and I threw away my sand strainer, and I just like, and I started running. I was like, I was terrified that I had just killed this family with my pet jellyfish, which I never wanted to see again. So, yeah, it was no fun after that. My mom came and apologized to them, and she was like, oh, it's fine. And yeah, we never saw them again. Thank goodness. And yeah, that's really about it. That is my story about how I massacred an entire family with the jellyfish. That's really about it. Yeah. Bye, guys. Fun story.